Let's imagine for a moment that we've traveled 500 years back in time. Florence, a stage where intrigues, betrayals, and ruthless struggles unfold. And on this stage, a man is writing some of the most debated ideas in history. Niccolò Machiavelli. Some called him the devil's friend. Others saw him as a master manipulator. But perhaps he was simply a realist, a keen observer who analyzed human nature ruthlessly. So, are Machiavelli's teachings still relevant today? If we look at modern psychology and the world we live in, we might find that Machiavelli's truths are closer to reality than we think. One of Machiavelli's most famous works, The Prince, serves as a guide on how to acquire power and maintain it. At the core of his thoughts lies one truth: people are not as good as we think. He argued that people should be ruled by fear, not love. It is better to be feared than loved, Machiavelli claimed. According to him, people act based on their interests, and a leader should inspire respect and fear rather than relying on their affection. So, how does this idea align with psychology? Research in human psychology shows that dominant personalities strengthen their position within a group. Evolutionary psychology suggests that throughout history, societies have submitted to authority and accepted dominant figures as leaders. Famous psychological studies like the Milgram experiment have proven that people tend to obey authority figures unconditionally. In 1961, American psychologist Stanley Milgram conducted an experiment that would deeply shake our understanding of human behavior. His goal was to understand how far people would go when faced with authority. After World War II, the defense of Nazi soldiers, who claimed they were just following orders for the crimes they committed, inspired him to conduct this experiment. Volunteers for the experiment were invited to a university laboratory where they were told they were participating in a study on memory. The participants were assigned the role of teacher, while the person sitting opposite them was assigned the role of student. However, there was one thing they didn't know. The student was actually an actor, and the shocks they were administering were not real. According to the rules of the experiment, the participant in the teacher role was responsible for administering electric shocks whenever the student gave a wrong answer. The shocks started off light, but increased with each incorrect answer. The punishment began at 15 volts and could go as high as 450 volts. As the participants heard the student groaning, pleading, and even falling silent, they began to hesitate. However, the authority figure in the experiment, a man in a white lab coat, would give them instructions like, "You must continue. It's essential for the experiment to proceed," ensuring they followed through. The results were shocking. 65% of the participants, meaning 6 out of 10 people, continued to administer shocks up to the highest voltage, 450 volts. Not a single participant completely defied the authority figure and left the experiment. This experiment revealed that people are far more obedient in the face of authority than they may think, and when instructed, they can put their own moral values aside. Even today, the Milgram experiment poses an important question. Are we really making our own decisions, or are we just doing what we're told? Machiavelli's thought, "Fear guarantees loyalty," still holds true in today's business world. Tough yet visionary leaders, like Steve Jobs, can extract maximum productivity from their employees because people respect strong leaders. If you're too soft, people will take advantage of you. But if you establish your authority, they will respect you. Another famous quote from Machiavelli is, "The ends justify the means." According to him, success is what matters, not ethical concerns. To achieve a goal, sometimes harsh or morally questionable methods may be used. Looking at today's business world, we still see this principle at play. Large companies may resort to unethical methods to defeat competitors, and marketing campaigns are designed to manipulate people. In psychology, this is referred to as the Machiavellian personality. Individuals with this personality type reach success by thinking strategically and intelligently, but they do so while distancing themselves from emotional connections. Experiments like the Stanford prison experiment show how people with power can become cruel, further validating Machiavelli's observations about human nature. In 1971, psychologist Philip Zimbardo conducted a striking experiment to observe how people change when exposed to power and authority. The goal was to understand how quickly individuals adapt to social roles and how power can alter their behavior. 24 volunteer students were randomly divided into two groups, prisoners and guards. The basement of Stanford University was transformed into a prison, and everyone was dressed according to their assigned roles. The guards were given uniforms, batons and sunglasses, while the prisoners were stripped of their personal identities and referred to only by numbers. On the first day, everything seemed ordinary. But by the second day, the guards started behaving not just as role players, but as if they were real figures of authority. Humiliating, oppressing, and psychologically breaking the prisoners quickly became the norm. The prisoners attempted to resist, but the guards intensified their control, using harsher punishments to break their will. Some prisoners felt so helpless that they broke down in tears and wanted to leave the experiment. Empowered by their authority, the guards began to believe they had absolute control. The experiment was supposed to last 14 days, but due to the severe psychological distress, it had to be stopped after just 6 days. People can adapt to assigned roles quickly and excessively. Having power can fundamentally change a person's behavior. Those subjected to authority may become more submissive rather than resist. With this experiment, Zimbardo revealed a chilling truth. Under the right conditions, even ordinary people can turn cruel. But if power were in your hands, what would you do? What about perception management? Machiavelli's statement, "Everyone sees what you appear to be, few really know what you are," is more relevant today than ever. In the age of social media, people work hard to appear more successful, happier, and perfect than they really are. In psychology, this is called the halo effect. The human brain tends to perceive all traits of a person positively if it has received a few favorable impressions about them. That's why making a good first impression can determine how people perceive you. Whether in job interviews, social circles, or the online world, crafting the right image directly affects how people view you. Perhaps Machiavelli's most controversial thought was, "Never attempt to win by force what can be won by deception." Modern psychology shows that people are much more open to persuasive individuals. Cialdini's principles of persuasion reveal how manipulation can be skillfully employed. For instance, phrases like limited stock or only valid today, often used in marketing, are designed to manipulate the psychological decision-making process. Just as Machiavelli said, people are often controlled not by brute force, but through clever manipulation. Machiavelli's final great lesson was, fortune favors the bold. You can't achieve great rewards without taking risks. In today's entrepreneurial world, most successful individuals come from those who dare to take risks. Examples like Elon Musk investing his entire fortune in SpaceX and Tesla, or Jeff Bezos risking everything to create Amazon, perfectly align with Machiavelli's words. To make big changes in life, you need to take bold steps. In conclusion, Machiavelli's ideas may be harsh, even ruthless. But the truth is, his analyses align closely with psychology. People love power. People make decisions based on perceptions. People are open to manipulation. And most importantly, sometimes you have to consider unethical ways to succeed in this world. So, do you think Machiavelli was right? Is it better to be loved or to be feared? Follow me so I can accompany you on your journey to your own peak. And don't forget that I'm eager to hear your thoughts on the topic. The best days are the ones where you take one step closer to your summit. May luck be with you.